What is up, guys? In today's video, we're going to be spectating random players in Fortnite Zero build, going over what I think they do well, what they could do differently, and just the state of the game right now. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more, and comment down below what your favorite change is in Fortnite's most recent Hot Bat Summer update. I'm going to be trying to... I guess we can go Sinister. I was going to say, I'm trying to like hover around and see where a good amount of players went, but it does seem like there's a solid amount of players landing at Sinister Strip, so we can go here. Kill me. Thank you. That was almost bad. Alright. So now we're going to be awarded with Anonymous. There's like a bug with the most recent update where when you get eliminated or win the game or whatever, it takes like such a long time to actually let you spectate people or tell you that you lost the game, or if you won the match, it takes a while for the match to end. But we're going to be on board with this Anonymous. Did land at the Sinister Strip prison. There are two little power switches you have to activate here to unlock the prison, and inside there's a few rare chests which hopefully can give you some decent loot. There is a chance to get the mythic boots from inside the prison. There's also a chance to get the mythic Batman grappler from inside there. So you can get the grappler from Batman NPC. He's located on this island, but you can also get it from this prison. There's like a chance for it. Or the cannon at Heatwave Harbor also has a chance to give you the Batman grappler. And there might be other ways that I'm not, aware of at this time. His loot is a bit of a struggle, though. And trying to open this prison can take a good amount of time. So he went through the long way first, I believe, unless he had already done the short way before we, started spectating him. But this side is a long way. You just follow the power lines on the ground. He's going to go to the other switch, naturally without following the power lines. But if you don't know the layout of this underground area, the easiest way to kind of do it is just follow the power lines, because it'll lead you to the two switches, and then you can just follow the power line back to the main prison that you open up. Luckily, he does have shock rocks. That's a very important movement item, and nothing has changed there with the most recent update. Okay, so he got the mythic boots, but that chest there has a chance to give you the mythic Batman grappler, which I know is an item that a lot of people like having. Personally, I don't care too much for the Batman grappler this season. I think just with the movement items we currently have, it's not that, incredible. And unfortunately, he really didn't get anything of value from that prison aside from these boots, which I don't really care to use the boots either, so... For me, there would have been nothing of value there. This is an AI. I'm sure many of you know this, but when you aim down sight while you have the boots, if you're in a slide with the boots and then you aim in, your weapon becomes like totally accurate and you kind of like slow down time. I don't like the way he just used his shock rocks there for nothing. I think these shock rocks are an incredibly important item. If you've seen any of my content over the past few weeks, ever since they were added, I'm sure you're well aware of that. But it's just very good for engaging fights, very good for disengaging fights, very good for traveling. It is an absolute do-it-all mobility item. He just takes fall damage there. That wouldn't have happened if he had the rocks on, because if you have any of those charges active, you can't take fall damage. You did get the Holofoil 7 Sprite, I think. Yeah, he did. So he might try to extract this here. There's a new Sprite variant, or a new Sprite that was added yesterday was the 7 Sprite. And the Holofoil is a variant of it. I don't know what he's doing. He's like holding it out? Okay. I don't know if he was trying to like put it on his back or what, but to put it on your back, you would just hit your shoot button while you have it selected like that, and it would swap them. So I feel like this match is kind of weird now, because his goal probably isn't to do well in this game, it's to extract this, right? But ideally, this player needs to be making his way towards the rift in the center of the map and trying to get some shock rocks, and he could have even done that while he was waiting for this extract station to come in, but he seems to want to just play it a bit more safe, which is understandable if you really want to capture this, right? So he's going to triple jump onto it, and that is a good kind of way to use the shock rocks. If you do want to extract like that, you can call the extract, go somewhere else, and then just use your shock rock jumps to get to the little crate and then put your sprites in. You don't have to sit right on it. And that same kind of like play can be made when it comes to the battle bus endgame, because now when the match ends, there's a rift anomaly chance where a battle bus will spawn, and then after 2 minutes have passed, it will anybody on the bus at the time will win. And so one thing you can do is just kind of chill out nearby somewhat and then jump on the bus in the last minute with those rocks, or last second with those rocks. It was just an AI. I think he was maybe... Oh, there's somebody in front of him here. I was going to say, I think he was maybe coming here to try to find the Harley Quinn NPC, which has the Mythic Warforged AR. Get decent shots there, but nothing too amazing. And that's going to make this fight very turnable for this Chem, but he hits a good shotgun shot there. Takes a lot of damage himself, though. He only has 80 health. The Chem is just going to leave, and I think this is... Yeah, okay. I was going to say, I think her leaving like that is going to allow the player that we're spectating to win. And that's like a mistake a lot of players make. When the fight isn't going well for you, your first thought is just going to be to reset the fight, right? But there comes a time where you're probably not going to be able to get away. Like, by that Chem just trying to leave like that while she's super one-shot, she's basically decided that this player can just kill her if they hit a single shot. While this player was also very weak. He only had 80 health, which is obviously a bit healthier than that Chem, but when it comes down to shotguns, one shot can easily do 80 damage. So, in a lot of fights, that's like a type of situation that can happen, where you and the opponent are both really weak, and a lot of players kind of tend to panic in those situations and just kind of like give up the fight and leave, when really the only way to survive and win the fight is just to like kind of coin flip the shotgun shot, because they were never getting away. This is bad for the person we're spectating, and this is why I pretty much never want to go down into these underground areas. It is just always a mess. So this player down here was periodically shooting off, trying to bait the person we were spectating into like coming down here, and then you saw why. As soon as they came down here, she was just ready with the Maven, and that's like a fight that is very Maven favored, I feel like. And then the person we were spectating didn't really have any ability to defend themselves. It's kind of the same thing with the Chem, where like he's really weak, and so he's just trying to run. But the difference here was this Sunstrider hadn't taken any damage, and so he can't coin flip the fight off a single shotgun shot versus her because he was so weak, or she wasn't weak at all. But yeah, anytime there's anybody in those tunnels, I'm probably just gonna leave them be. Anytime there's somebody sitting in a vault or in one of those Sprite rooms, it's typically just gonna be best if you leave that person be. I don't like that. So this person just used, again, about the shock rocks, they just used their shock rocks for basically nothing. They used it just to travel, and they don't have any reserves. And then they also had the boot, which is like, you know, a fine traveling mobility. So he could have just used the boots to travel and then saved the shock rocks. But I think maybe he's trying to get up here and extract as soon as possible, because he might have just mastered this air sprite. That's my guess, because he bought the quack snack thing. So I think that's why he was like, again, just more inclined to use the mobility to just get here, because he's not really thinking too much about the future of the match. It's more so just, I want to really extract this air sprite that I mastered. And so same thing that other player did. He's just going to hide here, wait for the crate to land, and then my guess is that he's going to shockwave onto it. A lot of people, when they extract, they sit right on the crate, or like very close to the crate when you really don't need to. I believe it takes about 55 seconds for it to like drop down like that. And so you really don't need to like sit right on it. If anybody was around here looking for him to prevent him from extracting, they probably wouldn't have been looking up there. And then you saw, even when he did get ready to go, he like stopped on the edge of that mountain and kind of looked first, and then goes back for the gun because he extracted that other sprite. There's now 15 opponents remaining. This guy actually had 9 kills. I don't like the boots as his only mobility, though. He also has the pocket shockwave, but I feel like these boots are... It's kind of like the wingsuit in the sense that it's like a decent traveling mobility, and you can get from point A to point B, you know, somewhat quickly and conveniently. But if there happens to be any enemies between where you and where you're going, and you don't know that they're there, you can easily just get like melted. Especially this season, the time to kill is really fast. And so if there happens to be anybody hiding with a ranger pistol, this guy can get absolutely melted, and it's going to be hard for him to reset that fight, because his only other form is the pocket form of mobility is the pocket shockwave. So he only has 1 shock to get away. If someone's trying to chase you and gets good damage on you, just like booting away is not going to work versus people with decent aim. Seems like he's trying to remain on the edges of the map, though, which kind of reduces his chances of that happening. Also, the boots are very loud, and the visual audio range on them is also very large. So if you have people using boots near you, it's typically not going to be a surprise to you that they're there. This guy loves the underground areas. This is another place that I just like would not go into. And do not mess with the underground. I'm interested to see if we're going to get the battle bus end game. Oh, this is a Skeletor boss. There's 2 crowns on the ground in front of him here, so he knows that there's people here. Fight just happened. Somebody else's crown just activated. But this player that he's pushing... Okay, they're probably just going to reset. They have shock rocks. They could just fully leave. And this is kind of like what I was talking about with the shock rocks. So he wants... Oh, never mind. They didn't want to leave. They wanted to like reposition. He hits a good snipe though. That's going to make this fight winnable. Unfortunately, he doesn't hit the last shots. But that's another situation like I was talking about before with that Kim who was really weak and then she just gave up the fight. If this Poison Ivy just gave up the fight there because they were really weak and tried to escape in a situation where they clearly aren't escaping, then they probably lose. Both those players were really one-shot there, so it really just came down to who hit the shot. The Sunstrider hitting that snipe was very good. But you saw the power of the shock rocks there. The Sunstrider we were, you know, on board with. She's booting up. This Poison Ivy is not going to be caught off guard by her at all because, like I said, the boots are really loud. And then the Poison Ivy is able to reposition with the shock rocks. If she just wanted to leave and not make that fight happen, you saw that she could have. She was basically gone from the Sunstrider's screen, and until like the Poison Ivy started shooting. And that's why I was saying that like I don't like the boots as much. It's not going to be able to chase the shock rock player, and it's not going to be able to get away from the shock rock player. Basically the entire terms of how that fight was going to play out was dictated by this Poison Ivy. And it shouldn't have even been a fight, but the Sunstrider hit a really good snipe. She sees that person up on that mountain. She's gonna throw some snipes there, but this is a fight that probably isn't gonna go anywhere. Unless she headshot snipes him and insta-kills him, but if she bodies, like that person's gonna be able to get away and heal before anything happens. There's a fight happening. I think this player should want to third party this. They do have shock rocks, so they could quickly get over there. The fight might be over already. They killed, I saw where the person died. It was like in the little crevice between the mountains. It was, he's gonna shockwave. He's shockwaving late though. It was like down here where the person died. And so I'm not the biggest fan of this because he could have gotten decent third party timing on this fight. He would have been pretty late, but he still would have had like relevant information on where that person is. But a decent amount of time has passed, and so that enemy could have gotten away. They could have got that. It could have healed and everything, you know. You see them. They're in this bush now. But if he'd gone a little bit sooner, he would have had more potential to stop this player from getting to that bush. And he ended up going here anyways. And so like the waiting. I don't really know what the point of that was. I guess maybe checking around to see if there's anybody there, but I feel like he could have quickly got to this mountain, prevented that Olivia from getting up, and then gone about his day. He's just throwing snipes at the bush. And this is one of the unfortunate things about snipers in Fortnite is they are, you know, they can be high skill precision weapons, but also the amount of ammo we have with them typically means that people can just play like this. He can throw snipes into that. Oh, he got shot. But he can just keep throwing snipes into that bush. If one of them lands, that's great. And typically the penalty for him missing isn't going to be very large, but that Olivia hit a snipe of her own, and so the fight kind of flips on its head. But normally in a situation like that, this player is peaking for such small periods of time that it's very low risk, high reward. And the fact that a sniper is like a precision weapon kind of doesn't come into play when you can just spam it over and over again like that, you know? He's trying to get away here. He's out of shock rocks. Doesn't have real heals in the sense that he can't get healthier than he is off these minis. So I guess he could drink one now, but not really much that could be done. Once that snipe hits and the Olivia in the bush has shock rocks to chase, there's just not really much that could be done. This Olivia is getting third partied off of that as well. She definitely would have wanted to get that kill cleaner than what she did. The fact that it took that long and took that many shock rock uses is what like opens her up to getting third partied. And she's out of shock rocks now, so this fight has to happen. Interesting. Very weak. It's going to come down to a coin flip fight. Shot. There we go. Same thing I talked about earlier with the Kim. If this Olivia was like, oh crap, I'm one shot, I can't fight now, then she definitely dies there, right? If she just turns her back and decides to run with like barely any mobility, that person, you know, easily hits a shot on her and eliminates her. But both players were really one shot, so it really just comes down to who hits the shot first. And a lot of situations like that, people panic, and that is like, I don't even know how to like get out of that, but it's just something that you need to be comfortable kind of like fighting until the end sometimes. So I'm not saying you can't ever run away from fights or reset, but there comes a time where you got to know that like, I can't just run anymore. It's going to come down to this. And she like pre-overdrived herself before that fight happened. I think it was just to like give herself the overdrive effect. I thought she was going to shockwave through the tree and then try to shoot down. But she like overdrived in a way to where she wouldn't really go anywhere, but she would give herself the overdrive effect. And I don't know if it really came into play there. I guess she did have like the floatier jump to kind of win that coin flip shotgun fight. But now it's just a 1v1, and typically these type of situations just come down to not scamming. As long as you don't throw, you probably will win. Luckily, she gets a refresh on shock rocks from the players she eliminated there and overdrives. She doesn't have any heals, but as long as the fight doesn't start in terrible timing, you might not need it, you know? Like, she's not going to get third-partied or anything like that, or potentially need to heal, unless the fight happens and they reset, or unless she gets, like, beamed and then has to, like, try to reset. But I don't think she even really opted into not having heals. It's just kind of how things panned out, so it is what it is. It happens sometimes. Getting shot from that house. Now she knows where the player is. Takes a little bit of damage, but like that damage is fine. In a 1v1 like this, I would just really want to know where the enemy is. I do not... maybe it works. It's sketchy. I don't like the just like 50-50 engage for no reason. She gets the kill, but it shouldn't have even been a surprise. So a lot of times when you jump on somebody like that with the shock rocks, you can catch them off guard, especially if it's in like the mid game or you're third partying them or something. But that was just a 1v1 where this player was just shooting at her. So jumping on them like that, I feel like was a risk that wasn't necessarily worth taking. It ends up working out, but I feel like you can all see how that fight really could have gone either way. I think she also maybe missed her shotgun shots, but it was a little bit messy. But she did have to go to that spotted zone anyways. Like, that house is where zone was, so maybe that's, you know, what it came down to. Like, I'd rather just jump on this person than continue to get tagged down and then have to fight them when I'm weaker. And that does make sense. The fact that she didn't have heals or anything, she was never going to get healthier. And so maybe it is just worth jumping on them prior to getting tags or anything. But I thought she was going to, like, get into zone kind of and then try to play for a snipe. Because it did seem like she, you know, liked sniping throughout the course of the game. But that is going to be it for this video. As always, if you guys do enjoy this video, find it helpful, informative, or interesting, remember to give it a like, subscribe if you'd like to see more. Comment down below what your favorite thing is or favorite change is in the Hot That Summer update. And I will see you guys in the next one. Thanks for watching.